Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Monday Market Report hosted by BlueRidgeSilverhound. This time for the week ending June 13th, 2021. So for those of you that are brand new to this particular segment of my channel, what we do is every Monday or every Sunday night, I like to talk about some of the most relevant modern, and when I mean modern, post 1900 US coins that have sold on the market place here in the last 7 to 8 days, give or take. A lot of great coins this week, and even though we are kind of like firmly going into the summer months, we're not seeing any sort of slowdown action. As a matter of fact, just looking back at the collectibles market in general, I think coins, precious metals, and currency is probably still one of the most biggest, widest performing collectibles indexes that you could possibly ever. I mean, just look at all of the realized prices and you will see that nothing else compares. Sports cards, tradable card games, various other different types of comic books, I would say, have even retraced here in the last 30 days. But coins, currency, and precious metals have continued to forge forward. We got some really strong prices this week. All from great collections. They do their weekly auctions, but we also talk about some of the more relevant, bigger auctions out there as well. Hosted by Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, Legend Morphe, to name a few. Just to let you guys know, there are a couple upcoming, I would say, very specific auctions hosted by Heritage and Stax Bowers that maybe you probably ought to know about. Heritage has an upcoming Carson City collection sale. So all Carson City coins will be in there. I believe that's either later this week or next week. And then Stax Bowers has a pretty nice, I don't know if it's called like a signature or a collector's choice sale. But they're going to have some really nice high-end pieces there as well. So a couple of them to kind of, I guess, anchor down the summer months. It'll really be interesting to see how these coins perform at these other auction avenues. It should be exciting, but if it's worth mentioning, I will certainly bring it up. But these weekly auctions from great collections have been a fantastic barometer check for the market as a whole. And I could seriously say that there's just no stopping this gauntlet that is the numismatics market. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in to the first coin from Great Collections. We have a 1957D. You'll see up and down the list, and I will make a note of it to you folks, which coins are intended for what we call registry sets. There are people that do registry sets that are hosted by PCGS or NGC. And what it is they compile specific sets, maybe a Lincoln set, at the highest possible grades, all right, and then your registry set is graded on a point scale system, all right. So the highest grade, I guess, that you earn for your set will, of course, benefit you in some way. More so, it's bragging rights. It's like, hey, I spent the most amount of money for my Lincoln set series. But there are also lowball sets. There's really no wrong way to do a registry set. You can even do an all straight up VF set or a fine set in terms of grade. You could do problem coins. I mean, there's a bunch of different kind of directions you could go with it. But the first coin that we have here, this 57D Lincoln Wheat Cent, I mean, it's an NGC Mint State 67 plus full red. It's a top flight example, and yeah, this is more times than none a registry coin. And I also like to tell folks that you don't necessarily need to correlate registry set with investability because there isn't any there. By the time like let's say a year down the road where another Mint State 67 plus full red example of this same date mint shows up in the marketplace, guess what that's going to do? That's going to go ahead and drop the prices of all the existing examples of the same grade and all of the other subsequent grades that are lower. All right, so keep that in mind. These are coins that over time will drop in value until supply just whittles away. But this one right here sold for $1,896.75. So that's quite a bit of money for an otherwise very common minted coin. Same for the 55D that you see here. This one, again, another mid-state 67 plus, full red by NGC. But it's kind of night and day. I mean, you know, the 57 that we saw just looks a lot cleaner. But again, this is a coin that's going to go right into a registry set. Don't invest in these type of coins. This one sold for $1,152. All right, now this is a different story. This is a coin that we don't see that often. They have tremendous low mintages, and it's going to be your 1941 Lincoln Wheat Cent. This one is a proof strike. All right, so they're available in very limited quantities. This one is an NGC Proof 67 Red. All right, which is actually a pretty good grade for these earlier proof coins. And this is another testament. This particular example sold for $5,400, where, you know, maybe a proof 65 would probably sell for around $100. So, you know, just to let you know, these coins, while they're low mintage and, you know, if you need one, they are available out there, but mostly in the mid state grades. It's going to be the 67 and up is where really a lot of the value is going to be for these coins. Now, this is quite a surprising one on the list. Now, normally when we associate 1936, all right, there's a couple of very notable doubled dice, all right? There's the Type 1, the Type 2, and then the FS103, all for the same date. This coin has none of them. However, it is a registry set bomb. And when I mean bomb, that thing is like exploded on to the numismatic world. This one is a PCGS Mint-State 68 full red. It is a top pop example. And believe it or not, this thing was a few $100 away from $10,000. $9,756 to be exact. On this example, it's beautiful, has a little bit of toning on the obverse, as you can see right there. This coin probably at one point spent some time in a roll or perhaps in an album, all right, since when they first came out. Kind of hard to say, but this is a very nice, for a business strike, it looks very satiny as well. And no, it's not a proof strike at all, just a beautiful coin. And again, this is a coin that when another 68 pops up in the population reports, that's going to make this coin worth a little bit less. But man, pretty nice hit right here. And then we have a 32D. Now this is I would consider this to be a little bit tougher date in mid-mark. You just don't see anything above mid-state 65 that much or that often for any of the branch mint early 30s coins. Save for the 31S, you do see quite a few 67s there. And people knew that it was a low mintage date anyways. But 32D, you know, this is one of those kind of like underrated, not a lot of people know about this coin as being anything but a, you know, just a semi-tough date coin. But when you get into the mid-state 67 type of grade range and it's full red, I mean, this has all the flavor in the world for a registry set owner. This one sold for $1,494.72. And the final Lincoln Cent on the list is a 1929S. Now, this is actually a lot tougher date than meets the eye. All right, being that it's the final date of the 20s, you know, there are quite a few mint state examples. If you needed one for your Lincoln Cent collection, you could find one for under $10 pretty easily. But this one right here, no doubt about it, is a registry set coin. It's a PCGS Mint State 66 Plus full red example. Believe it or not, that's a much tougher grade than it looks. It's also CAC green beaned as well. And I'm happy to say that this coin brought home $9,337.50. All right, on to some bigger denominations, starting out with a 1956 Jefferson Nickel. This is an incredibly tough date for full steps, and yet this one managed to hit that quite well. It's a PCGS Mint State 67 FS. No doubt about it. Again, you probably don't want to invest in a coin like this. This is made and custom tailored for a registry set. This one sold for $3,375. Pretty nice coin here with a little bit of toning on the periphery, albeit very light, but it's there. 1939, and what strikes me most about this particular coin is that it is the DDR, the double die reverse. You can see it right on Monticello and 5 cents pretty easily. It's the strongest, most desirable. But take a look at that grade. It's a Mint State 68, all right, through NGC. This particular variety is the FS801. And for extra measure, it's also the reverse of 1940, which I think most of them are. I don't think there's a lot of reverse of 38 or whatever it is for the DDR of this particular date. Just a beautiful coin. I would imagine this is a top flight, probably top pop grade without full steps. I don't know how it would do crossing over to PCGS because that's where a lot of the value is. But this one right here, ladies and gentlemen, realized $4,162.50. I mean, which seems like a screaming deal for a 68 of this variety. Again, this is a coin that even in the lowest grades, it's still worth about 40, 50 bucks raw. It's just this variety has a lot of staying power, and it's very searchable. You know, right out of, if you're a nickel roll hunter, I've actually found a few of these. Nothing spectacular to really write home to mother about, but they're like, you know, that $40, $50 fine, you know, net graded type coins. But they are always going to have a desirability on the secondary market. Keep that in mind as you're searching through your coins. We do have a few Buffalo Nickels, quite nice ones, might I add. We have a 1937S. Even the 1930s branch mints, some of them can be a little bit tough. San Francisco's especially. This one is an NGC Mint State 67 plus. All right, so it's up there. It's a really nice high-end grade. It's not the top grade. I believe 68 plus or something like that is the highest for this date. This one sold for $1,723.50. You can make the argument that Buffalo Nickels can either be a registry set, you know, acquisition, or one purely for investment. Because of the popularity of the series, it really doesn't matter at the end of the day. If they grade out at least a 67 and higher, you are riding on easy street. That's for sure. So, yeah, keep that in mind. If you got a few $1,000s to spend, don't look at anything modern. Look for these, you know, notable, older, obsolete type coins like this one here. And we also have a 37D as well. No 3 legs on this one, just a good old standard 37D, but it's pretty. This one is a PCGS Mint State 67 plus, and it also has that CAC green bean as well. Just a beautiful coin with some reverse toning on there. It gives it a little bit of originality. The obverse is blast white. Pretty well struck, I would say. A little weakness on the obverse right there on the braid. This one sold for $1,857.38. All right, I'm not going to lie. The next couple coins are extremely tough, all right? But they are important to this series, if not for U.S. type collectors. This is a 1927S. Now, we are talking about some just incrementally difficult coins to find raw in this condition. Good luck with that. They just don't exist. People know that these mid-20s D and S coins, even Philadelphia coins as well, we have one on the list, are definitely intended to be at PCGS or NGC. This one right here is just a Mint State 68. Now, I use the word just very, very loosely in this particular instance because this coin sold for $9,337.50. Ironically, it's the same price that the 29S Lincoln Cent sold for earlier in the video. And speaking of which, how about this 25 Philly? What this one has going for it, above all else, is its color. This coin is just stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful example. Nice early date, even though it's a Philadelphia, but the grade is suitable. It probably got half a point grade bump because of the toning. This one is an NGC Mid-State 67 Plus, and this one sold for $8,775. Beautiful, beautiful example. We do have one Roosevelt, so there's still a little bit of love for this very obscure, if just unspectacular coin series. This is a 4070, so a little bit tougher than your average bear. This one right here is an NGC Mid-State 68 Full Torch. Oh, wow. So we got a nice heavy strike on this one. Pretty nice. Got a little bit of toning on there as well. I mean, this is a series that will get a lot more popular as other specific series get more expensive. So I would see here in the next 5 to 10 years, Roosevelt dimes, especially if the U.S. Mint decides to change the overall design makeup of this coin, we're going to see a whole bunch of hobby love for these coins. Keep that in mind as we go on through time and as coin technology changes and design changes. You're going to see some of these older Roosevelts get a little bit more desirable. This one here sold for $1,471.50. We have a couple Mercs. How about a 44S? Now, any San Francisco minted coin of the 40s is a little bit tough. A lot of them are weakly struck. However, this one is anything but. It's an NGC Mid-State 68 full bands. Wow, we got a lot of NGC graded coins this week. I just realized that. That's kind of nice. Just shows just the hobby relevancy of this particular grader. But yeah, no doubt about it. This one is hammered home. It's got sharp, defining lines on those bands on the reverse, along with the fascies just being absolutely lights out as far as its strike. This one right here is sold for $1,940.62. I would say this is a really nice coin, and I wouldn't have thought that this one would achieve the amount of money it did because it's so modern, but yeah, it's a San Francisco. There you go. That just makes more sense. And then same for this one. This one is a 40S. It even has a little bit of a proof-like surface. And that's probably why I'm kind of like taking a little bit of an affinity for this coin. You can even see all of the wild die file lines on both the obverse and the reverse of the coin. Man, this coin has a lot of personality. This one, PCGS, Mid-State 68, full bands. Yeah, it sure does. It has that. And this one realized $4,174.88. All right, we got 3 more coins on the list, all quarters. Let's go ahead and talk about the 83, most specifically the Philadelphia coin. All right, so as we all know, there were no mid-sets produced for 83. All right, so that kind of introduced a little bit of a quandary to the collecting public. After a while, there weren't a whole lot of Mid-State 83s to be found, especially 10 years later when people gave a spit about collecting these coins and putting together Washington quarter sets. That's where it began to kind of gain prominence, was like 95, 96. As people were gearing up for the statehood quarters, people were kind of drawn to the series going all the way back to 1932 when it first started. And as far as modern quarters is concerned, I mean, we could sit here and take a look at 2 very specific dates. 1969 and 1983p being, bar none, 2 of the most difficult coins to find anywhere in mid-state condition raw. Even to this day, if you needed this coin for a Washington quarter set, there was not a whole lot of them out there in mid-state that you could just comfortably buy raw for a reasonable amount of money. I think the last example that I bought that grades out around the 65, I paid $50 for. I mean, that just seems like a lot of money for this date. But because there's no mid sets, it's a coin in which you had very poor strikes. It was very widely circulated. Nobody gave a rip about this coin during its time, so nobody hoarded it. All right, so there's the survival rate of this particular date and mint mark is nil. It's down at the very bottom of the barrel. So this one right here is a rather pedestrian mint state 66. There are much finer specimens of this coin. However, this one is prominent in this list because it's sold for $915.75. If there's none out there to be had at any grade point higher, then you kind of have to make do with what you have here and now. And that is this coin right here. Very, very surprising amount of money that it's sold for. And then overall, we just have a couple of very nice, pleasing, eye-appealing type coins. We have a 59. I mean, yeah, it's a common date. But there's no denying that the toning on here, as light as it is, on both the obverse and reverse of the coin, make this one quite desirable to collectors of the series. This one right here is an NGC Mint State 67 Plus, which is no slouch of a grade. This is a nice high-end piece. This one sold for $2,236.50. And then finally, the most beautiful toned coin of the list this week is, that distinction goes to the 36S that you see here. Yeah, it's a tougher 1930s branch mint coin, but wow. When you have the eye-catching originality of the toning on this coin to the high grade, it's a Mint State 67 Plus through PCGS. I mean, you just have a really nice combo of things happening for a collector. This coin sold for $3,496.50. And well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it. As you can see, the market is happy and healthy. A lot more, I would say, emphasis on excuse me, on the older types issues, which that's not going to go away. Higher quality coins are disappearing. Inventory is light out there. When these coins come up for auction, there's a mad feeding frenzy just to obtain one. Believe me, because I monitor it each and every single week, and then I bring this information to you here on these reports. Not exactly breaking news. This is something that's been kind of boiling since the beginning of the year when people were cashing out of crypto and then buying physical assets. Coins is one of the biggest ones out there that just continues to show strong results. That's going to go ahead and do it. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Coinholics, we are discovering together. I would love to hear your thoughts on this video. Did you have a specific favorite? There are a few out there that I would say I would personally like myself. The 44S Mercury, beautiful, beautiful coin. In addition to that 39 Jefferson DDR, I mean, how often do you see a Mint State 68 example of that variety? You just don't, right? So it's really good to see some of these white whale coins come out into the marketplace, especially in the heat of the summer when things normally mellow out. But yeah, this market is anything but mellow. You guys take care, have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the next coin video. So long.